Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how I clean my Smith & Wesson shield. I'm not saying it's the right way to clean it, I'm not saying it's the wrong way to clean it. I'm just showing you guys the way I clean it. So the first thing you always do when you clean a gun is make sure it's empty, safety's on. Alright, now for this gun there is two different ways you can take it down. The first way is there's a little yellow lever in there. If you push that down and take down your takedown lever, rack it back, and the slide should just come right off. And the other way you can do it is the way I do it, is do the same thing. Now you just come back to where you lock the slide back, make sure that the gun is empty again, flip the safety off, lock it back, and pull the trigger. Alright, take that apart. You have your recoil lever, or spring, and the barrel. Now for this, I did actually start a different video. I had something going on with my camera, so I had to restart it. So the barrel is actually somewhat clean so far, but I'm still going to show you guys what I do anyway. The things you're going to need is bore solvent, gun oil, patches, Q-tips, this little fuzzy brush, and a brass wire brush. So actually I'm going to switch to the wire brush. Get that on there. So what I do is I let the wire brush soak it in the solvent and run it through the barrel a couple times. Now when you do this, you should always go from the feed ramp to the front of the barrel, the same direction the bullet's going. Do that a couple times, and I switch back to this little fuzzy brush. Now I know this isn't the way you normally use this little extension thing for, but the way I do it, it actually works pretty good. Just go ahead and put the patch on there with the oil, stick that in, push up as you're twisting, and as you can see, it actually works pretty good. The way I do it this way is that the patch has more of a surface contact with the barrel, so it's right up against the barrel to get all that extra crud out of there. So now I take a dry patch. I'm actually going to put this back on. And take the dry patch, run that through. Alright, and you can see that it's still coming off. So now I take another patch with the gun oil. Run that through. Okay. And as you can see, it's starting to disappear. So I'll take another dry patch, run it through. Okay, so then now for the outside of the barrel, I'll put a little oil on a patch, and I'll go through the whole thing, make sure it's all nice and oiled. Alright, so now take a dry patch, wipe off the excess on it. Okay, now I'm going to take a Q-tip, put a little oil on there and get right in where the loaded chamber indicator is in the feed ramp, and also where the recoil spring goes. I like to get into there. As you can see, it's pretty filthy. So we'll get that all nice and cleaned up. Alright, so the barrel is good. Now the next thing I want to do is the frame. So for that, I usually use nothing but Q-tips. Start on all the surface points. Get down where the barrel goes. Try to get in every little spot you can. Safety, slide lock, all of that. Definitely in back, as you can see all that stuff coming out. Okay, we'll get a new one. And just keep doing that until the Q-tip comes out, you know, pretty clean. And all of the stuff I'm getting off of this was from earlier today, which was about, I put about maybe a little over 100 rounds through it of total ammo and Winchester, so not the cleanest of ammo. Do this once more and this should be good. Alright, so then that's the frame part of it. Now the slide, I still use patches for that. And just keep going through all surface points, contact points, and wherever the barrel and the recoil spring go there, and I actually get inside the slide. I get all on the sides and the top there. As you can see, pretty dirty. So now I take another Q-tip and same thing, just get all in the crevices and wherever else you can get everything out of, especially where the fire pin assembly is. You definitely want to make sure that's clean, which actually has the most residue on there. Alright, so that's nice and clean and oiled. I got this, and I take another patch, put some oil on there, and go on the outer edge of the recoil spring. And you're not necessarily going to get any residue off of this, there might be some, but it's just to make sure that it's oiled up. Make the gun function better and also stop it from rusting. Alright, so now that's done, we'll take the barrel, put that back in the slide, put the recoil spring back. Now when you put this back, you want to make sure that this little part right here is almost directly in the middle of that little notch that it sits in. Otherwise you're going to pull the slide back and it might get stuck. So you have to retake it down and then, you know, fix it. Alright, so then we'll put this back on. So that's in there. We'll lock it back. Take down lever, flip it back up. And I always flip the safety back on. So this part right in here is actually that little part the recoil spring sits in. right there. This is the bottom of that. And that, same thing, take a Q-tip, oil, and just get all of that. Because believe it or not, there actually is a lot built up on there. You might not notice, but you miss that, it'll gum up pretty quick. So I always just like to make sure I get in there pretty good. Alright, so that's done. We'll make sure it works, everything's good. Now the next part I want to talk to you about is the magazines. I don't know if you guys clean yours or not, but I clean mine. You don't know if you can see it, but there's a bunch of residue on top there. So I just take a patch with some gun oil, clean all of that off on the top and the sides, and then I stick the patch in the magazine as far as I can get, and you'd be surprised what is actually in there. So I just make sure I oil the inside and even the outside good, because what that does is not only make sure the magazine goes in and out smoothly, but like I said in my last video, if you leave your gun in your car or truck for the winter, you know, it's really cold out, you bring it inside to where it's hot, your gun is going to start sweating, there's going to be moisture. So definitely pre-oil your magazines, everything should be fine. I don't know if you can see that, but see that little tint there? That came just from the outside of it. So I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it keeps going unnoticed. You know, you gotta drop your mag. You might have to physically pull it out yourself. It might go slower than it's supposed to go. It might not go in right. But all these things will make the gun function better, cycle better. And what I also do is I take a patch with gun oil to the outside of the slide. Same principle as the magazines, keeps it from rusting, and also, see, same thing, you're actually getting stuff off of there. So I'm going to take a dry patch, get all the residue off, and it'll also make it easier to go in and out of a holster or any other spot where it might snag. Alright, so that's how I clean my Smith & Wesson. Hopefully it works for you guys and will clean a lot better. If you have any questions or anything, just let me know.